Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Arba'in Fitri bin Nordin from Group 2, Section 3 and 4. In this video, I will present about our group project report. The topic we choose there is Utilizing sequencing rule from scheduling method in automotive workshop service. Abstract. Vehicle maintenance is a must for vehicle user. There are various types of maintenance that need to be carried out according to the time or distance that has been set by the manufacturer. Each minor and major maintenance require its own time and procedure. Therefore, how does a vehicle service workshop manage and divide its job according to the time expected by the customer? In this study, we use the scheduling method to study. There are three types of sequencing rules practiced in this study to measure the productivity and advantage of each for vehicle service workshop in providing good service and meeting customer expectation. Introduction. Scheduling is the last stage of planning before production operation. It is the process of arranging, controlling, and optimizing work and workload in production process or manufacturing process. To prioritize the job given to the customer, we need sequencing. There are many sequencing rules exist and each attempt is to achieve the objective. For this study, we use three types of popular sequencing rules such as FC, FS, first come first serve, EDD, early due date, and SPT, shorter processing time. Problem statement. Poor scheduling will cause overlapping work, problem and loss of time and money. If this problem occurs, it will cause overscheduling so that it will take longer to complete the task and then cause the work to be less effective and low quality. For vehicle service workshop, there are many maintenance work that need to be complete for each vehicle. There are major and minor maintenance that need to be considered to ensure the customer get the best service in the expected time. Objective. The objective for this study, first, is to study the productivity of maintenance process using sequencing rules. Second, to investigate the best sequencing rule for the maintenance process. Scope. First, understand the idea and concept of scheduling in the vehicle maintenance process. Second, identifying the appropriate sequence rule technique to be used to manage the problem in the vehicle maintenance process.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faris bin Razmi, batch number AD19080. So next we are going to proceed with the literature review. So in this literature review, we are going to cover 5 main things, which is about the scheduling in industry, the sequencing, and also the 3 main sequencing rules we have chosen for this study, which is the first come first serve, the earliest due date, and the shortest processing time. We're going right into the scheduling industry. So according to PNADO 2012, scheduling is a process of allocating resources to activities over specific time periods with the aim of maximizing one or more objectives. So scheduling is one of the most important things in industry because manufacturers are using this method to manage their capacity so that they can meet their own production aim. So as we can see in the figure illustrated here, there are a lot of machines and they have their own allocated time to stop and to start working. So that is basically what scheduling is. Next, scheduling can be classified into 2 categories, which is static scheduling and dynamic scheduling. In static scheduling, timetable doesn't really experience many changes. As for example, in the airline flight schedule. While in dynamic schedule, there will be frequent schedule changes. Optimization in real time must be made so that the schedule will be always created and recreated to meet the needs in real time. So the example for this is production schedule of manufacturing company. So these are the 3 main sequencing rules we have chosen for this study. The first one is the first come first serve, where we let the initial process start when it is scheduled and let it finish on its own. And second one is the earliest due date, which prioritize works based on due date. And the last one is the shortest processing time, where we arrange the job in ascending order of processing time. Next, so here in the table below, I have collected a few past literature on the sequencing rules. So the first one is from 2009 by Gupta et al., a study about mixed integer linear program for airport departure scheduling. So they are utilizing the first come first serve sequencing rule, and the result shows that the sequencing rules have improved their overall departure system. And next, from 2004 by Kenneth and Lee, the paper study about weighted modified due date rule for sequencing to minimize weighted tardiness, and they are utilizing the earliest due date sequencing, and the result shows that the sequencing rule have performed successfully in all of the experimental cases. And the last one is from 2001 by Rose, a study about shortest processing time in a semiconductor manufacturing, and they are utilizing the shortest processing time, and the result shows that the cycle times are significantly reduced. So all of these past literature have shown that sequencing rules have their own significance in various industries. So in our study, we are utilizing these sequencing rules in an automotive service industry. So I think that is all for literature review. I'm going to pass the presentation to next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. So I will be talking about methodology. The first thing we need to do is to sort the information. Like one of my group members said just now, our study will involve an automotive workshop. So the first thing we need to do is to visit the workshop, and then we need to survey the service provided by the workshop, as well as the processing time needed for each service. After that, we need to review the due date required by the customers. By this step, in this step, we just discuss it among our group members, as we think that we are the customers ourselves. And the next one is to record the data in a table. So the for calculation in among the three sequence rules chosen, the FCFS, EDD, and SPT, the only difference in the calculation step is the first step, which is to rearrange the data in the order of sequence rules chosen. So for FCFS, we just use the default data from the survey. For earliest due date, we need to rearrange the data in the order of the earliest to the longest due date. The same goes to the shortest processing time. We need to rearrange it in the order of shortest to the longest processing time. So the next step is to calculate the completion time for each process and compare it with the due date. So the output, the due date required. So the output of this step, we will get the tardiness. And then we need to calculate the sum of the completion time as well as the tardiness, and then we need to find its average. And lastly, we need to tabulate the data and compare it with each others. And move on, this is the formulation. So for completion time, the variable needed is a processing time, which we can get from the data. And for the completion time, it's like you just add all the processing time, like you can see here. For the first process it's A, and the second process is A plus B, and the third is A plus B plus C, and so on. So for the tardiness, we need two variable, which is the completion time and the due date. The completion time comes from the calculation just now, and the due date we can just obtain it from the data. So if A minus B is lower than 0, then it means that the tardy is equal to 0. But if it is bigger than 0, it means that there is a tardiness, and the value of the tardiness is equal to the subtraction result. So I think that's all for the methodology, and now I will move on to the result analysis. I will be talking about first come first serve sequence rules. So this is the default data. Here you can see the completion time is like 1 equal to 1, 1 plus 3 equal to 4, 4 plus 20 equal to 24, and so on. So the same goes for tardiness, like 1 minus 12 equal to negative 11, means that there is no tardiness, so the value is 0. And this one is 34 minus 30, you can get 3, you can get 4, so the value is positive, means that there is a tardiness 4, and so on. And then for total completion time, you just add all of it. The same goes for tardiness, you just add all of the value. So this here is the total completion time, which is 23,000 minutes, and its average is 1,800 minutes. And the next one for total tardiness is 18,000 minutes, and the average is 1,400 minutes. And this is the final result. The number of job study is 9 out of 30 service. I think that's all for FCFS. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Azim bin Abdul Aziz, and I will be presenting the result analysis for EDD, earliest due date. So the process we arrange in the table based on the due date of the work. So the earliest due date, which is the water battery, at 10 minutes will be at the top, and at the last process, which is the engine overhaul, will be at the bottom due to the due date is 7,200 minutes. For the result of EDD, from the table arranged based on their due date, we can calculate and summarize the information as below. Average completion time will be 400, 74.31 minutes. Average tardiness 43.54 minutes. The number of the job tardy will be 7 service, and the maximum tardiness will be 183 minutes.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Anifuddin, and I want to present about the result analysis of shop processing time. Okay, so the table is we arrange the process with short processing time, which is the shortest will be at the first, and the longest will be at the last. Okay, from the table we can summarize that the average completion time is 473.70 minutes, average tardiness 43.15 minutes, and number of job tardy is 7 service, and maximum tardiness is 183.
For the discussion, the company have used 3 methods for scheduling for their service. A good scheduling planning help to meet the customer due date, minimize job lateness, response time, completion time, and overtime. The sequencing help the worker to prioritize job based on the sequencing rule. The sequencing rule use first come first serve, earliest due date, and shortest processing time. These rules are used to find the best sequence to give the highest productivity when servicing the vehicle at the company. After the calculation and analysis for FCFS, EDD, and SPT, we can conclude that the FCFS have the lowest average completion time at 1829.1 minutes compared to EDD and SPT. However, SPT have the lowest average tardiness at 43.1 minutes, followed by EDD and FCFS. Both EDD and SPT have 7 number of tardiness job, while the FCFS have 9 jobs. For maximum tardiness, FCFS is the highest at 4,793 minutes compared to the EDD and SPT at 183 minutes. For the suggestion for improvement, we can observe the SPT sequence rule have the shortest completion time and average tardiness when compared to the other sequence rule. Even though all methods have its own pro and con, we can say that for automotive workshop, the SPT method will have the most benefit to the industry. This is supported best on the fact that it provides the lowest average completion time, which means that the total time taken to complete service is shorter than other sequence rule. The number of tardiness, however, is the same as EDD sequence rule. Based on the overall result, SPT sequence rule is the best option.
Conclusion: from the result of the study that has been carried out, we can conclude that the objective of this study has been achieved, which is to study the productivity of the maintenance process using the sequencing rule and investigate the best sequencing rule for maintenance process. Overall, we can conclude a sequencing rule like SPT, shortest processing time, is most useful when workshop is highly congested. EDD, early due date, is when the small tardiness value can be tolerated, and FCFS, first come first serve, is only when vehicle for maintenance in low capacity level. That's all from us. Thank you.